Hello, dear viewers. This is your host Maverick, taking you guys on to episode 10 of the Saga of Tanya, the Evil. So, last episode where we left off, I've pretty much narrowed down the current situation to sort of a reference to World War II's Battle of Belgium, or, just the German offense in 1940 that eventually drove the French and the British as well as the other Allied powers to the evacuation at Dunkirk, right? It seems similar in setting and in its geographical location. Now, Tanya and others are apparently now strapped into a V1 rocket, heavily modified, and going behind enemy lines for assassination and infiltration and just causing general havoc, right? I guess you can sort of consider them as the paratroopers of World War II, dropping in from parachutes or gliders and taking out key enemy positions and personnel. So, that's that. Also, I mentioned last episode as well, this episode will be pre-recorded, so if you give any feedback from the last episode or some things you want to touch upon, it won't be in this video. I'm pre-recording this because I'm going on vacation in Japan. So, but I will still be responding to comments as best as I can, so if you guys want to put any more supplement information or not, be my guest. So anyways, let's just get into the episode right now. Now let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Okay, ships. Is this the British? The Allied Kingdom. Yeah, Allied Kingdom. Okay. So they've decided to shut their neutral status and has eventually joined the war. Although maybe in secret? No, this guy. Ensign Sui. Is he like brainwashed by being X or something? Oh. Alright, hold that thought. Let me just skip this real quick. And back. Ah, they're on the ground now. Really? See, now that's also different from actual history. V1 rockets were not very accurate, and neither were V2 rockets either. "10 minutes. The path to victory." Yep, consolidated the lines. Yep, war is expensive.
的な件につきましては、15の皆様の重大な努力と犠牲に大きく感謝するとともに、喫緊の課題である共和国軍撃滅に向け、鋭意努める段階にあるかと思う所存でございます。
I wonder how quickly they're going to be launching the counterattack. Like once they get word that they succeed, they'll immediately launch the counterattack.
このままでは我が国の工業生産力が壊滅的な状況に陥ります。解決策を軍と協議できなければ不本意な政治的措置を講じる必要もあると思われますが、そうした事実理解についての軍の存念はいかがなものでしょうか。うまいな。
Oh.
やはり封鎖された施設のようですね。残り時間はおよそ120。やむをえん。外れだろうと軍令通り焼き尽くす。燃焼術式の用意だ。はっ。
産業基盤を失うのですぞ。なぜ西方工業地帯を危機にさらすような戦線交代を。明らかな愚行でしょう。そろそろ帝国か。どう責任を取るつもりですか。納得のいく説明をしてください。詫びの一言もないんですか。
丸一より各位、目標 A は敵司令部にあらず、各班状況を報告せよ。各班状況報告だ。何をやっている。状況報告。
こちらマルフタ、目標 B あたりです。通信司令部の破壊に成功。
Okay.
会議中のところ失礼します。君、符号は入電。世界に冠たる我らが祖国であります。繰り返します。世界に冠たる我らが祖国であります。実に結構。こちらマルさん、同じく目標 C、弾薬庫を破壊しました。
Okay, so they got 2 strategic targets, but they failed to take out the headquarters units, the commanding unit.
先ほど我が軍の精鋭部隊が敵のライン方面軍司令部を破壊、指揮系統の撃滅に成功いたしました。総司令部を破壊。原告をもちまして、衝撃とイフ作戦の完遂と次なる第三作戦の開始をご報告させていただきます。どうぞさらなる続報をお待ちください。
Right, so again, the third phase, is that immediate or the lines are probably trapped, right?
進出予定線に到達。こちら観測班、我敵影を見ず、敵部隊に動きなし。了解。司令部に指示を仰ぐ。現在の状況は。問題ありません。共和国軍主力はロール低地に到達。我が軍の右翼と対峙しています。第三作戦の方はどうだ。すでに準備は万端との。1年の火事でようやくドアをこじ開けられそうだな。
Right wing, probably Resting.
こっちは暇すぎだな。左翼の連中が羨ましいよ。やめとけ。はどうせ撃ってこねえよ。
Oh, are they gonna use sapping? Really? So they're actually taking a two-front approach. I didn't expect this. Oh, there goes the line. But are they actually going to start advancing through the right flank? And more to the point, if that was possible in the first place. Ah, there we go. Actual tanks. World War II era tanks. Checkmate. But, alright. I'm quite curious on how they managed to pull that off. I mean, sapping was used in World War I already. With limited success. So it actually went the opposite that I thought they would do. Yeah, that is, yeah, that was smart to take out the communication facilities. And really? So after that mission, they just basically chilled on a submarine in the ocean?
心ください。いくら敵司令部の破壊に浮かれていても、回収先の潜水艦が沈んではたまりませんからね。
失礼します。デグレチャフ少佐殿、参謀本部より通達です。
ご苦労。素晴らしい。海上作戦が成功したのか。これで回転ドアも機能するというわけだ。もう機関らは詳細を知らされてなかったよ。参謀本部が進行中の戦争終結に向けた極秘計画だ。第一作戦、大規模交代による敵主力部隊の誘引。第二作戦、敵司令部を強襲しての指揮系統撃滅。第三作戦、行動戦術による敵陣地の突破。そして回転ドア作戦での敵主力包囲。大規模包囲による完璧な撃滅。これこそまさに機動包囲。
They basically reversed the fronts from World War II.
敵主力は袋のネズミだ。
Don't count your chickens before they're hatched, guys.
これより我々も本艦から出撃。包囲撃滅戦に参加した後、帝都へ帰投する。分かっているとは思うが、帰るまでが遠足だ。勝利の宴に参加しないうちにバルハラへの抜け駆けは許さんぞ。はい。
何がどうなっているんだ。俺たちを攻めていたんじゃなかったのか。おい。
Really? That's the difference in firepower?
司令部の指示を。
指揮系統は完全に麻痺。矛盾する命令ばかりです。
交代だ。交代しろ。
Oh, flanked. Like, seriously, how were they able to hold out or fight on even footing for so long? There's at least a 40-year gap of technology between them. Seriously? You're telling me that those kinds of modern armor cannot penetrate the trench lines? Oh. By the way, normally flamethrowers aren't used directly on the battlefield. They're used to take out pillboxes and whatnot. They're normally part of the engineering squad. Well, actually, okay, actually that was false. Never mind. But yeah, normally they're used to attack strong points. Uh.
ラインコントロールより各隊、エリア42に複数の魔導反応。長距離観測狙撃術式に警戒せよ。
エリア42というと近くの海上ですが。
ラインコントロールより一般通告。エリア42にて識別を発しない魔導部隊へ。 直ちに所属を明らかにせよ。繰り返す。所属を明らかにせよ。
こちらフェアリー大隊、所属不明の魔導部隊についての情報は？
詳細は不明。だが別地点の友軍からは連合王国部隊との交戦報告も入っている。
チャンブルどもが介入して。
悪いが一回の完成には判断しかねる。
了解。ボギーをバンデットと推定す。擁撃の許可を。
直ちに警戒部隊を向かわせる。距離を保ったまま到着まで待機せよ。
フェアリー-1、重複できない。先制できない。
Oh. All right. I believe there's a little bit more at the very end, so let me just skip to that and we'll watch it together. What now? I hate people who snore. Slap him! So she's a bad sleep. Alright. Captain? Oh, that was cute. Alrighty, so latest development notwithstanding, with the sudden appearance of the Allied Kingdom's Mage's forces, I think this current war with the Republic is pretty much in the bag, right? There's not, even if the Allied Kingdom joins now, there's not really a good method for them to help the Republic army, as they have already been encircled. And it does draw an interesting parallel, actually, the more that I look at it, and the more that I look at the battle lines, with what actually happened historically with the Battle of France and Battle of Belgium, in terms of, you know, it's basically like a mirror of it. It's just tweaked in some ways, so it's a little bit different. So, you know, the bulk of what happened is actually quite similar. So the northern flank, the northern front, actually they didn't really make much advances, but their job was to keep the bulk of the the French army held there, and so that they could not go and reinforce the other different flanks, right? Whereas the southern flank, or I mean, at least the flank more to the south, they managed to break through the lines of the French and do a pincer move where they completely encircled the French army, so that, or actually I should say the Allied army, because at that time the army consisted of the French, the Belgians, the Netherlands, and the British as well. So, but anyways, the Allied forces and surrounded them so that their backs were to the sea. Now, the major difference here is that it's a little bit it's more north in this anime than it is in real life, which was near, you know, the ports of Calais and Dunkirk. Here, if we are using the map and we overlap it with our current world, it seems that they are actually all in Belgium right now. So they are trapped in Belgium. And also the breakthrough for the German army was not alongside the border of France and Germany, along the Maginot Line. It was in fact through the Ardennes forest, right? So the Panzer, basically their entire strategy consisted of focusing all of their most of their panzer forces, and drive them through the Ardennes Forest to eventually break through the lines, because there were no lines there, basically, and so do a complete encirclement with the northern flank as well for the bulk of the forces. So it's really similar, but it just differs in some key areas, right? And it's. I mean, I'm okay with it if it's just sort of using a reference and then creating a similar situation. If it's the exact same, it wouldn't be any fun, right? This is sort of an alternate history. But the way that they did it, I don't know, it kind of bothers me a little. Using sapping in what is essentially a World War II kind of set. You already have World War II era technology. Why are you still trying to go through the French forces in such a cute way, right? Now, granted, because the technology advantage is on the Empire side, sapping should still be effective against the Republic as well. But it's an outdated method, right? It's very slow. So for the biggest problem I have is how in the heck they were able to prepare this kind of tunnels and prepare this kind of explosives in such a fast manner. Like, if we're using World War I era technology to go by, creating this kind of big line with this kind of impact, it would at least take a few months, right? At the very minimum. One of the biggest sapping attacks in World War I took, I believe, almost 2 years before they could complete it, because you have to work in secrecy and make sure the enemy does not know you're actually trying to sap their lines, right? So that's the first part where I'm a little dubious about the feasibility of the situation. I mean, not feasibility, but the necessity of using this kind of tactic, because immediately after that we see how advanced the Germans are, or sorry, not the Germans, how advanced the Empire are compared to their Republic counterparts, right? Because those were freaking panzer tanks on the battlefield. Like, you got panzer tanks, right? Looking at the armaments and the artillery that the Republic has, they could easily have rolled through their lines with that kind of armor units. So I don't know. I read some comments back that people are saying this is in this setting the Maginot Line actually held, but I'm finding it very hard to figure out why they held. If you get what I mean, because honestly, most of what was shown, like I said, there's at least a 30-year gap between the technology levels of these two armies, and it shouldn't have been a problem. Like, come on, consider it this way. So in World War II, Germany was facing the combined forces of Britain, of France, various other allies countries such as Belgium and Luxembourg and whatnot, and they only managed to muster about a similar force as the Germans at that time. Here, really, only the Republic, or what is France, is really fighting against the Empire, because the Allied Kingdom didn't really join until later. All things equal, well, actually, all things are not equal, because Germany actually has a bigger economy and more manpower than the French ever had directly. So if we take it into this situation where the Empire is actually even bigger than what Germany was during World War II, it just goes to show that it should go without saying that the Empire has more manpower as well. And you combine that with a technology advantage, I have no idea why they took so long on the Western Front. All right. But again, that's a little bit nitpicking, but I don't know. I just find it kind of incredulous why they weren't able to do anything when you have both the manpower advantage and the technology advantage. Like, sure, I know that they're fighting in the north as well, and then they had that little skirmish to the south with the kingdom that represents Romania, but still. Germany was fighting on multiple fronts during World War II as well, and at the beginning stages of the war. Um, I don't know. I just find it. I'm very incredulous that the Maginot Line actually. I mean, you can you even say it's the Maginot Line, right? It looks like World War One trench warfare, right? So I don't know. I feel like the Empire should have been able to crush through them way faster and way easier than what was necessary. But in any case, what's done is done. So I mean, it all ends up the same, right? So they smash through the French lines. They smash through the Republic lines and encircle the remainder of the army, and so now the Republic army is trapped. What can it do, right? Well, of course, the show must go on. So we see that the Allied Kingdom has finally decided to join, right? And I'm assuming that probably we're going to see some kind of naval evacuation, courtesy of the Allied Kingdom. Although it's probably not going to be at Dunkirk now, because they're way too north of that. But still, there's probably going to be something like that happening, so the war can go on. Otherwise, you know, if they are able to wipe out all the Republic's forces with this battle, with this war, the Allied Kingdom doesn't stand a chance by itself, right? So probably something is going to happen where they can again rescue the majority of the forces off to the Allied Kingdom. All right, so I guess that is that. What else is there to talk about? No, I think that's about it. So yeah. I mean, I still enjoy the episode. It's just that, and I do like the parallels that they. One thing I forgot to mention. One thing that I did like about this episode is how they highlighted the inefficiency of the Republic commands. So this is something that actually mirrors real life as well, World War II, and that is the difference in the command structure between the French, and the Germans, or in this case the Republic and the Empire, right? So the French have a very top-down kind of command structure where they need to go through the chain of command and to get deliberate orders from the top all the way down. So they have this kind of communication inefficiency where they are perpetually waiting for orders from above. The Germans, on the other hand, or I'm guessing the Empire also uses a similar system, is that they have the concept of what is called mission command, and that is the commander on the field, whoever is the highest ranking at that time on the field, will have the ability to call the shots, right? They don't have to follow the orders right down to the letter. They are encouraged to, improvise at their own discretion, and even call in, close support as well. It's one of the strategies that Germany did during World War II, the combined arms tactics, and that is so whether you're infantry or you're in an armor group, or you're in the Air Force, close support, bombers, fighters, or whatnot, they all have some sort of communication method between them, and so the guy commanding on the battlefield can use his best judgment and call in the relevant support to support his effort, right? And that is a big difference as to why the Germans were able to move so fast within the offense of 1940 and essentially defeat the French in about less than 2 months, right? So that is in fact, one of the problems during World War II with Germany was that the commanders on the field had a tendency to disobey orders. And so that actually caused some problems and some friction between the commanding officers and the high command as well. So I did like how the anime highlighted this part. So, and again, it just doubly shows how important it is to take out the command or take out the enemy headquarters, right? Because you cut that off, they don't know what to do, and so they will just be there perpetually waiting for their next orders. So I did like that little bit of detail as a callback to history. Yeah, so I think that is all I want to talk about, and I guess we're gonna see the big showdown next episode between Tanya and the Anson guy, who apparently now has powers from being X as well. But like I said, I'm expecting a situation where the Republic does fall and gets kicked out of the war. But I'm also thinking that probably a lot of their forces are going to be evacuated by the Allied Kingdom to fight another day, because the war must go on. Alright, so that was that. Again, if you guys have any feedback, leave it below. I'll do my best to respond to them, even though I'm on vacation right now. Or, I mean, at the very least, I'll answer them when I get back, right? So we're nearing the end as well. I actually made a deliberate choice that I want to have feedback from you guys before continuing on. So probably I will just this will be I'll only pre-record 2 episodes, and the rest let's watch together. So until next time, bye bye.